wanted to bring the team up to date in terms of what's happening and the way forward as we work through those happenings. So the meeting is officially called to order. Based on my time, it is now 17 minutes past 5, all right? And I just want to quickly open in prayer. We have to let God be the center of everything that we do. So let us pray at this time. Dear righteous and eternal Father, we give you thanks for today. Thank you that we could come together as a community to discuss community matters and to plan ahead, to share our concerns, our suggestions. And as we proceed in this meeting, we pray for your guidance. We pray that you'll be with us. You'll give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as we discuss the happenings of the community and the way forward. Guide this meeting, and we give you thanks in no other name, but in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, so welcome, official welcome. And I know that we have some first timers among us. All right. We have started having residents joining from phase 5. All right. And I want to especially welcome you guys to Phoenix Park Village, and hope and trust that your experience and this investment that you have made, very big investment, that you will cherish staying. All right. So welcome, and we hope to have you coming officially on in terms of a phase lead, block captains. We'll work through those things as we go on, guys. All right. This is also a very special month for a number of reasons. All right. So this is the 1st of May, which is Child's Month. All right. And we know that the children are the future. All right. And phase 1 had a family fun day, just recently. And but I was amazed in terms of the number of kids that we had. Didn't know that it was that amount, and that wasn't even everybody. So we have to continue to do for the kids and invest in them, because they are also the future of this community. All right. And there are other things that will be celebrated during the course of this month. Teachers Day, Mother's Day, very important days those are. All right. And also Labor Day, that is also coming up. Hope I didn't miss anything. All right. So very special month for many reasons. And again, we welcome each and every one to this meeting. Apologies. I got an apology from one of the block captains, Ram Narsingh, wasn't able to join. I'm not aware of any other apologies at this time. All right. Sure persons are, organizing themselves to join. So currently we have 109 persons on the platform, and there's also a few persons joining via YouTube. So we want to make them welcome as well. So this meeting, we promise to let it be a very short one. We just have some important matters that we want to share with you. But of course, we can't have a meeting without sharing our finances, where we are, what's our current position. And we had some challenges in the latter part of April that, impacted the team in terms of finalizing the first quarter financials. So on behalf of the team, I want to apologize. We won't be having the financials for this meeting, all right? But we'll circulate it in the coming week. We just have a few more things to add. And one of the things that I'm grateful for this team is that we have been able to consistently inform the community in terms of our financial position, and to also share those for your review and for your records. So I know the team is very disappointed, the financial team, that they weren't able to provide it for this meeting. The financials would have covered for January to March, which is the first quarter, and that would have been provided in April, based on our previous schedule. but we had some issues in the office that impacted to some degree the information coming forth. But the team is on it, and they are working to have the financials completed and circulated to the community in the coming week. So let me apologize on behalf of the finance team for that, and I know Cheryl will also speak to it when she joins. All right. So just quickly, I want Cheryl to, speak to the other matter under her portfolio. All right, Cheryl, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Yeah.
All right, so let me stop sharing a little and allow you to share your screen. All right, you ready when you are, Sharon?
Okay. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Phoenix Park community. Welcome to the new residents from 4 and 5. Happy to have you guys here with us today. Our first meet. Well, it will be your first meeting. All right. As Lani, I'd just apologize. I'd like to extend my apologies also for the financials not being ready for the first quarter, and I'll have it circulate in the upcoming week. So the financial statements not ready for the first quarter, which is January to March. However, it will be circulated in the upcoming weeks. All right. So what I have to present on today is the compliance report for the first quarter. You're seeing my screen, right, Lani?
Yes, we are. If you can zoom up a little, that will be good.
Me do that. That's better?
Yes.
All right. So last year, or well, December, the fourth quarter ended December, we would have presented on the compliance report, and I would have explained to the community the importance of us having the rate at a 70 and above level in order for us to meet our budget and our other obligations in regards to our monthly payments of the security bills, maintenance, and other activities that we would have planned or we would have budgeted for this year. However, for this first quarter, we have seen a very significant, reduction, in the compliance rate. Whereas if you look at January, I'd ask the team leads to share this in the group. So if it wasn't shared, I can have it shared after we're finished with the meeting. All right. So if you look on the report, you can see for the different phases. For the first month, which is January, we have phase 1. And that is way about 20% less than what we would have budgeted for phase 1. For phase 2 for January, we're at 48% average. Phase 3 is at 54%, and phase 4 at 63%. I would love the block captains to take note of these your individual phases and the percentage rates that are there, and the ones that are below the 70%, those phases are the phases for concern. So I think we need to put in place as the block captains, measures in place where we can reach out. I know most of you don't really want to reach out to the residents. However, maybe you can speak to the property officer or someone from the executive team how best we can approach the residents so that we can have an increase in the compliance rate. So we see for an average compliance rate for January. Just a second, let me show you the average compliance rate for January. So the average compliance rate for January is 54%. So that is way below the average rate that we would have budgeted for, which would be 70%, which would be able for us to meet our monthly obligations. February, the compliance rate is also below expectations, because you see for phase 1 it's at 51%, phase 2 48, which is a decline in the from the previous month, phase 3 52%, and phase 4 69%. So that's February compliance rate. And March compliance rate, phase 1 50%, phase 3 further reduction 43, phase 2 sorry 43, phase 3 51, and phase 4 65. So we see coming from January to March, we have the compliance rate have been reducing. So we just need to encourage our residents or to just remind them of the importance of us paying our monthly maintenance fee of $2,500 and the uses for them. And as again I said, I'll have the financial statement just to show you the first quarter income and expenses ready for this week. So that is it, Lani, for me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Cheryl. And just stop sharing there. Let me just bring back on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, just hold a quick second for me, guys. Yeah, so those are some very concerning information to us. We have been looking at the numbers. I shared in the last meeting that we would be continuing our encouragement, the soft campaigning, you know, letting persons realize again the importance of paying their maintenance. All right, and we mentioned that there would have been now some additional actions that will come. You would have noticed as well that through the PRO team, and I know Camille have been doing a very excellent job in terms of those flyers, you know, sending those out monthly, reminding residents of the importance and what it is that the maintenance go towards, all right, and also some of the actions that will be coming. And the reason for it is that we want to give persons, you know, well, too much time, some will say, all right, and it's now time for us to move to the next level, which is start letting persons feel the negative impact of not paying their fees. So in the latter part of last year, we saw it, you know, going down to the 60s. Now we're down to the 50s. And when we look at the numbers, some of the blocks are even way below 50, 29, 30, you know, and those are troubling numbers. So I want to open to the residents at this time to get some feedback. What are the challenges? What are the concerns? What are the issues we are seeing? Why is it that persons, yes, we know that, you know, we need to take action, and that one will be done. All right, so we have now generated the non-compliance list that we will work on as a team, all right, in terms of the actions that will be taken there. But generally speaking, the fact that we have been seeing this steady reduction, I want to open to some feedback at this time. Anybody? I think I'm seeing some back in the chat. Shana, you want to share a couple of those? Might not be able to work between both screen. Shana K, our secretary. not here in Shanakey. All right, let me see if I can just look at a few of them.
Lani, I can assist.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have someone, Omar Amintan. Oh, sorry, because he was making suggestions, recommendation rather, about the Excel sheet. All right, so we have Sasha Lewis. She's saying that there should be a timeline for payment if there is past, if the payments are, if it's past due, you can then take action.
Yes, which is in place. So there is
And
a
then
timeline.
Shamil Garden is saying, can we do a community poll to see why persons are not paying?
Okay, so we look at that.
All right, Jason Lee is not getting the emails or correspondence from the property office. Oh, that's not relating to the question. All right, that's it, Lani.
Those are what we have there. All right, so the next step, guys, is that we're going to now start taking some action. We had circulated a Google form to update our records some time ago, and we only got roughly around a little over 500 persons filling out that information. And the reason for it was that we wanted to update our record to assist with the digitizing at the gate. So therefore, we would have provided all the necessary information to the gate, including the non-compliance list. So when persons call the gate seeking services, once you're a non-compliant person, you will be told that you'll need to come and accept your visitor yourself, all right, or your guest yourself. The fact that we have been having some challenges in getting all of that information, we're going to take it a different route. So what we'll be doing is to provide the non-compliance list of the lots, all right, to the security. So therefore, the security will have that listing. So once you call the gate, they will have that listing and will then direct you accordingly. So we're going to be rolling that out in the coming week, all right, because we need to start, having persons, feel some consequences when we are not. Because we have been encouraging persons. If you're having challenges, which persons will have challenges from time to time, come in and talk to the office, all right? A few persons have come in, and we are not seeing the others coming in. All right. So it's obvious that we need to take it to another level, which we will. All right. So just want to advise the team in terms of that. There are some other things that we're looking at, all right, which we'll share with the team going forward. But we also have some passes and access to hello, are you hearing me? My signal seemed to have dropped there.
Yes, we're hearing Lani.
Yes. So we also have some passes given the new list that we need to deactivate. All right. So we'll have that process done during the course of this week as well. So therefore, when you're coming in, it will not be an automation. All right. You will have to go through the security on the non-compliance line. All right. But we have to, again, play our part in this process, guys. All right. Because if we don't have the monies coming in, we can't do what we need to do. Our biggest cost for the community is security and maintenance. And when we're buying to a gated community, the reason why we're buying to a gated community is that added security. All right. And if we don't have the monies coming in to pay for that security, then the whole idea of a gated community will be going through the door. So we have to get the rate improving over the next couple of months to ensure that we are able to even meet our monthly obligations. I'm seeing some other feedback in the chat. Sir Stephen, I don't know if you can deputize there in the absence of Shana. I don't know if those are relating to the topic, and I don't want to miss any feedback on this important one.
So, Lani, I can assist with one of the concerns I'm seeing here.
And thanks,
Someone
Fiona.
is someone is asking, is it possible for more payment options to be given? For example, payment through
Yes.
Bill Express, Paymaster.
All right. So down on the agenda, we're going to be sharing with you another option that will be coming very soon. All right. And we have also started investigating. I know the finance team reached out to some of the third-party collectors. If I remember correctly, it was Paymaster, and they have started some discussion along that line. All right, to see if we can have that as an option where persons can go to these third-party facility to pay. But currently, the two options that we have is online and the office, and of course, we know we need to give persons additional options. So one of the solutions that we have been discussing, which Sir Simpson will share with you later today, will give some information in terms of other options that will be coming very soon. By the way, let me apologize. The fact that we have new team members joining us for the very first time, I should have taken the opportunity to have a quick introduction of the exec team. We don't have the full team here this evening, but I want to quickly, for the purposes of those who are, this is your first meeting, and you would have not been aware of who the exec members of the community are. Let me give you this opportunity. So let me just go on the list here. I'll just call the names and you can just open your mic, all right, and just state your position. Good. And also, if you can let the person see your face, your video. So let me start with the vice presidents. All right, so we have our first vice president, which is Leighton Charles. Could you just open your mic and camera? Leighton, so persons can see you at this time. And maybe just quickly say something.
Hi, evening everyone. Lani, I'm unable to open the camera right now, but I just want to welcome all the new members. I will look forward to serving you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Stephen. All right. We have our second VP, Sharika Russell. Go ahead, Sharika.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the community. As you know, as you heard, rather, my name is Sharika Russell, and I'm also happy to serve you. Thank you.
Good. All right. Thanks, Sharika. You would have heard from her earlier. All right. Sharel Williams, our treasurer. All right. Just greet them again, Sharel.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Shariel Williams, the treasurer for the association, and welcome again. Thank you.
Good. We also have our assistant treasurer, Camilla Barrett. Camilla? Not sure if I saw Camilla earlier. No. All right. We have with us as well Shauna K. Lewis, which is our secretary. I saw her earlier in the group, wasn't here in a while ago. Shauna, are you back with us?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Apologies for not showing my video. I'm on the road currently, but I'm here. Welcome to the beautiful Phoenix Park Village. Thank you.
All right, good. And we have our assistant secretary, Fiona Mackenzie. Go ahead, Fiona.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Special welcome to Phase 5 residents. This is your Assistant Secretary, Fiona McKenzie.
Good. All right. Thanks, Fiona. We have our PRO, Colette Ball. Do you remember if I saw Colette join in? All right. I'm not seeing Colette. We also have our assistant PRO, which is Chris Neve Palmer. Chris Neve, are you with us? No? All right, then we have our phase lead. So all the phases, with the exception of phase 5 coming on, would have had a phase lead and also a committee that leads the phases, all right? But we'll introduce the phase leads at this time. So we have, for the phase lead for phase 1, we have Ainsworth Clocking. That's all Ainsworth earlier. No? All right. We have also phase lead for phase 2. Kerry, are you with us? No, not hearing Kerry. And we have our phase lead for phase 3, which is Deron J. Simpson.
Good evening, everyone. I am Deron J. Simpson. I am the phase lead for phase 3 and also the safety and security coordinator. Just like to welcome everyone who's here for the first time. All right.
Good. And last but certainly not least, all right, we have Stephen Levy, which is the phase lead for phase 4.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Apologies for the absence of my camera. Just want to welcome all PPP residents. Special welcome to phase 5 residents.
All right, so phase 5, don't feel left behind. We will have your team in terms of leaders sorted out very soon as you come on. All right, so we try to have arrange a meeting specifically for you guys to get that arranged in the interim before our general elections. All right, good. So I saw some other feedback in the chat. Was it relating to the non-compliance? Fiona, Shana? And remember, guys, you can also, other than using the chat, you can also raise your hand. All right, and we can allow you.
Sir Lenny?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so there was a question in the chat that says, is it possible for the block captains to reach out to the non-compliant members?
Yes, that was one avenue that was looked at some time ago. All right. One thing that we have to be careful of, which I think what was one of the consideration, is really giving out personal, information. I think that was one of the concerns. But we're going to be having some discussions with the block captains, because the fact that you are closer to the persons, all right? What we don't want is for persons to use the information in a negative way. It has to be in a positive way to encourage persons to reach out, because we know some persons sometimes, can feel a way when persons have their personal information. All right. It happened where just an exec had reached out to a person to say, encouraging them to become, compliant. And a report was made to the office, how the exec member got their personal information and that sort of thing. So it's a very sensitive one, and we'll, engage with the captains to see how we can, work with that process. One of the high level information that you would have had is specifically for your block. It will have tell you what your compliance rate is, which I think is, the first to begin with. And for us to know, encourage our block, meet with them, encourage when it touch those first of month, guys, remember this obligation as well, so we take the point, but, it's a little sensitive, and we see how we'll work it through. But the good thing is that we have the big picture, which is, your compliance rate per block and per field. Any other feedback there, Shana, before we?
Here we have one.
Yes.
A statement was made to say the non-compliants can use their neighbor's name or ask their neighbors to call the gate to let through their visitors. So we might need to move to other consequence.
Yes.
So we may need to move to another consequence.
Yes, and we take that because we know Jamaicans, we are very ingenious, you know. And there are other options to come, which we speak to in this meeting, because we know that that is not going to be foolproof, all right? And that's the reason why we wanted to move to other options, which we'll share very shortly. All right, but we take that feedback and it tells us that you're thinking along the wavelength we are as well. All right? Yeah.
All right, so the last one before you move on, they're asking for other mediums of payment. Can we use Bill Express, Linked, and so
Yes,
forth?
we were discussing that earlier, that we have engaged some third-party providers, which the finance team is in dialogue with, and I'll continue to follow up with them in terms of how those discussions are going. I think they started with Paymaster. Camila was working on that. She gave me some information. I don't know if she's on the platform now. Cheryl? All right, just going to remind persons to just mute the mic for me. All right, not hearing Camila at this time. All right, so during the course of this meeting, when she joins, we'll provide a little more information to you. All right. In the absence of Camila, yes, we take the feedback that, you know, Christopher says, you know, moral persuasion will not work, which we have seen because we have been doing that. But I think it's important for us to at least start from there so persons can't say we didn't have due diligence. We tell you, we encourage you, we show you the importance, we tell you the consequences that will come. So when those consequences eventually come, persons can't say that we have been, you know, a difficult team, you know, and insensitive to what is happening in the financial situation in Jamaica and other places. So, but we take the feedback, you know, it reach a point where moral persuasion has to stop, all right, and other actions are taken. All right. So in the absence of Camila, we had shared with the team that we are in the process of, you know, working on the audit. All right. And Cheryl, you want to just quickly say something on that for me, where we are currently?
Hi, Lenny. All right. So, guys, we would have been going through the data for 2019 to 2021, and we would have received quotations from different audit firms. However, for us to be ready, our financials has to be up to date. So while going through each year and going through the information that is on QuickBooks, we realized that some of the banking details that came over from QuickBooks or that is on QuickBooks is not reconciling to the bank statements for 2029 to 2021, meaning that the QuickBooks would need some additional information or updating to be done. So what we're currently doing some collections of the data, meaning going back through the receipt books and the emails for those who would have made payments so that we can update our records on QuickBooks. So that's where the audit is now. So as our deadline, our deadline for this data entry is from May, because the audit should have started in May as budgeted and what we had presented last year. However, because of the setback, the audit won't be ready, or the audit would not start until June of this year. So we're just currently gathering the information and the data, because we were looking into getting the person coming in and then do the data entry for us. But when we look at it, it will be more expensive, or it would have overrun what we would have budgeted for the audit. So our finance team come together and we have persons helping out to assist in having this done. And we have also contracted 3 persons to assist in the data entries, and they are university students that was recommended to us from the community. So they're actually assisting us in the data gathering and the data entry for us to meet our audit come June. So Kamala has more details on the audit process. So if she joins before the meeting finishes, I think she was online. So if she comes in before the meeting finish, she can give you some further information with the audit.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I'm seeing a Kerry. I don't know if this is Kerry Hazel, phase lead for phase 2. No? All right. Was going to give you the opportunity to just quickly introduce yourself. All right. All right. So we move down quickly on the agenda. So we're now on to matters arising. And the first point is the results of the voting for our financial year 2022 projects and initiatives. All right. And just before we speak to these specific ones, I want to share the result with the community. This will also be emailed after our meeting, so persons can further go through. All right. But just for the purpose of the meeting, I want to have Leighton just go through the voting results as they are. All right, go ahead, Leighton. Let me just stop sharing for now.
All right, evening again, everyone. Can you just confirm if you're hearing me?
Yes, we are.
All right, awesome. All right, so as Daniel said, I'll just be sharing the results of the vote that we just completed. And I'll be starting with the community well-being and outreach initiative products that was voted on. So for exam prep, it was a yes. Career Expo, a yes. Community Sports Day, yes. Community Night 5K Walk, a yes. Little Mr. and Mrs. Phoenix, no. Community Barbecue and Fish Fry. Majority of persons would have supported the pop-up shop, which we would have resumed yesterday. Most persons said that they would want it to be more of a monthly basis. Jerk Fridays will resume also, as majority had voted yes, and this will be done on a monthly basis. Also, a social and fundraising event, this was confirmed as a yes, and it was voted for quarterly.
All right,
Safety and security.
Just before you continue there, Sir Leighton. All right, so it was important, guys, that we go to the community because, you know, we are an association, and any decision in terms of our operations as an association must be, you know, put to the people. All right, and the people have the say, and the majority goes because we're in a democracy. All right, we have been doing a lot of engagement since last year. All right, and even before, and the information from the community was sort of split. Some persons, you know, were in support, and some persons weren't in support, you know, of some of the events that we were having and the frequency of those events. And for, you know, transparency and accountability, we thought it, you know, important to also include these things in the voting exercise. Cheryl, just close your mic for me. We thought it important to include this so the community can have a say. So it's not what I want or any other team member on the exec. All right. I have my own feelings as a member of the community. But it's not about me or any other member of the association. It's what the community says. And it's against that background that we were able to resume the pop-up shop because we wanted to have a clear majority in terms of yeses or no. And the community voted yes for the pop-up shop, all right? And for it to be monthly. And that's how we have to approach community matters. The community must speak, and we listen to the community. All right. The Jerk Fridays, we had it every 2 weeks. The community is saying yes to it, but let us have it monthly. All right. And for the social activities, the community is saying yes as well, but the majority is saying quarterly. All right. I know some of us would have wanted a bit more in terms of frequency. But again, guys, we have to listen to the community, all right? Because we are a democratic organization. All right, good. All right, thanks, Leighton. Go on.
All right, so 1 second. All right, so we now move to community safety and security initiative projects. One was the 10K voltage generator for property office gazebo area and phase 1 play area. Majority of persons voted no on this. Additional CCTV cameras for phase 3 and 4, majority voted yes. Lighting, GPS and solar for gazebo phase 2 and 3 common areas, majority voted yes. Speed hump and signage for phase, 4 each, majority voted yes. And the app for access control, a monthly subscription of $270,000, majority voted yes.
All right. Could we pause a little there? So the speed hump is for phase 4. All right. So phase 4 residents, I know you guys have been complaining about, persons turning the boulevard into a racetrack. All right. So we'll be proceeding very promptly to have those installed so we can manage the speed along that thoroughfare. And when phase 5 is handed over, we'll then deal with those accordingly as well, possible next administration. All right. So you can go on, Lynn.
All right. Move to facilities and maintenance initiatives project. Majority of these are voted yes, which are beautification entrance for Boulevard and the gazebo. Beautification for entrance, Boulevard and gazebo, 3 months maintenance. Irrigation project includes tubing, sprinkler, etc. for the Boulevard, play area and gazebo. Garbage bins to be installed along the Boulevard, the play area and the gazebo. Cutting and pruning of trees around the perimeter wall, and this is an annual fee of $500,000. Converting P26, P27 in phase 3 to conventional parks, yes, and road patching potholes along with concrete benches for Phoenix Boulevard. 1 second. Yes, jogging trail for phase 1, P35 and P26 and 27 in phase 3. Rehabilitation of the football fields, grass field 1 and 2. Rehabilitation of chain link fencing at the football field. Painting of curb wall. I assume this will be done on Labor Day. And the phase 4 and 5 directional signs. Want to say anything, Lonnie?
No, I'll speak at the end.
All right. So other initiatives that we wanted to complete, the fabrication of the 20 feet container, majority of persons who have voted no for this. Appreciation token for volunteers, current and previous, majority voted yes. And the projector and screen for the gazebo, majority voted yes. We also asked persons to choose colors. 2 colors, and the majority voted for hot cocoa and sachet sand. These 2 colors will be added to our list of colors, which will become a total of 5 colors that we have. The colors will be shared shortly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sir Leighton, for sharing that. But don't come off yet, because I might want a figure from you. All right. So it's important, though, guys. These projects, and again, I'm glad for the approach. We have during this administration, we have had 2 stint of projects, and the approach we have taken is to have the community have a say in terms of giving approval for these projects. Because as the homeowner agreement that all of us signed states, that non-recurring expenses must be approved by the community. All right. So that has been the approach we have taken. And I know some persons might, have a concern, boy, the project sometimes take too long. But it's important that we go through this process, that everybody is aware, and informed. I'm very happy when I walk the community and persons will stop me from time to time, and even other team members share. That person are saying, boy, thanks for the transparency. Thanks for including us. You know, and that's what we want, to include persons in the decision making, because we're an association. While we are the exec, we are a representation of the people. All right. So the projects that are here, and the color scheme, I just want to encourage persons again to work with the approved colors in terms of your house, your residence. All right. We want to keep a particular image, you know, aesthetically pleasing, you know, to ensure that there's some level of uniformity. All right. And previously it was agreed on through vote by the community, and we choose 3 additional colors. We know that, you know, persons have their own vision and style and taste, so we have sought to add 2 more options. So we now have 5 plus the original color. All right, and we're going to be sharing those with you and where you can get those paints from. All right, and the color code to match those different colors. You know, so we're encouraging persons to ensure that you stick within those guidelines in terms of you're doing construction and have to repaint or just repainting. You know, so we keep a particular look and image for the community. Just before I move on from here as well, could you go back to the scores for the generator for the property office, Lynn? So if you would have followed what Lynn was sharing, there were 3 things that were voted on as no by the community, where the majority says no. And that was the Little Mr. and Mrs. Phoenix, all right? The generator for the property office, and also the container. We have been struggling to get this container passed through the community, all right? So those were the 3 things. You find it, Leighton? I want you to share the actual results.
The actual results meaning the Excel sheet?
No, the numbers. How much
For
said
which
yes,
one?
how much said no? The generator.
Okay. For the generator, majority said 183 said yes, and 196 said no.
All right. So 86 and 190, how much?
196.
196 and 186, a difference of 10. All right.
183.
183.
13.
Okay, difference of 13. All right. Yeah, so we had a meeting at the exec level with this one, guys. And I want to share with you sort of unconventional, but not so unconventional, because at the exec level as well, we have to look out for the interests of the community. And what some person had shared, although we had several meetings explaining what these projects were about, we were still getting feedback that sometimes persons voted because they weren't, you know, properly informed or having all the information. And I want to share with you this one. Now, we would have installed a generator at the gate. Again, when we have those power outage, we don't have a challenge at the gate. We would have had that, that continuous power supply, you know, to manage the affairs at the gate, the security area, the automation at the gate, the lighting at the gate as well. So all of those things are connected to that generator that is at the gate, all right? Now, we have another sensitive area in our community, which is the property office. We can't have the property office down, you know, especially we're talking about power. We're coming up into a time where there's going to be, you know, this is a rainy season, possibility of storm, power outage, all of these things. Not only, but when we roll out certain additional features in terms of the gate, there's going to be a need for connectivity in terms of internet and all of those things between the property office and the gate. Our camera system, all of these things are important, and they can't run without power and consistent power. So in the event that we have power outage and don't have a generator to power the office, we're going to leave ourselves exposed, and there's going to be inconvenience for our residents. All right? So against that background, we had a discussion at the exec level. And while the vote, the majority was no, this was a close one. And the fact that we know the critical nature of this one, we thought it important to come back to the community to say that at the exec level, we had voted on this one, all right, with a unanimous decision that this is too important for us not to go ahead with, all right? And we are open to, any feedback on this if persons have feedback on it, but we think it's too much of an important project, and what we had done as well. What we had done as well is to ask for, we have asked for a larger size, all right? We have asked for a larger size generator, and the reason for it is that when we move to our new community center, which is early next year, we would have had already a generator that can manage the load in that new facility. So that's the reason why we have even gone to a 10 kVA, because a 6 could work, but we are planning for the future as well. And that's the reason why we had to move to a 10. A 4 is at the gate, all right, which is around $1 million something it costs us. This one is going to cost us around $2 million thereabout. All right. I'm seeing some feedback, Shana Fione, on this one. Could you just share those?
Yes, Sir Lani. There is a matter of a concern here, or should I say a comment from Cheryl. She says, while I applaud the executive and the block captains in trying to reach out to residents and emphasize the importance of paying their maintenance fees, bear in mind that we all signed a legal agreement documents that we are purchasing a house in a gated scheme. It is unfair to telling people that you live in PPV and enjoying the perks and being disrespectful to security and being non-compliant residents. This person is saying strict legal actions must be taken against these residents.
Yes, and we have started that discussion with the lawyer that we have engaged. So we will go the route of putting caveat, because some residents have not paid since joining the community. All right. So we have started that discussion. Just before you go to any other comments, I see a hand up here. Anna Hodges, sorry, we missed that one. Hannah?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
I realized that most of us were muted, and I understand that was for good reason. But the individual that is reading the message, I find that the person is missing a lot of important conversation. There is a person in there consistently asking about the $5,000 deposit that all members paid when they started the transaction with Gore. We are told that it's not shown on our account anywhere, and somebody, more than one person, has been asking. Nobody don't answer that, is one. Two, there's another person in there saying we have all voted on the generator story, and we'd want to know if most of us said no, why are we being told that it's going to be done?
Which is a discussion, which is what.
No, this is not my question, Mr. Lani.
No, man, I know, which is what we are getting to. No, man, I saw that feedback, so that's the reason why I asked Fiona to just share what were the feedback on the generator, because I saw some feedback on it, which you was getting to.
I don't have an issue with the generator, but me want nobody deposit can me pay too. And it's very great.
I'll give you some feedback on that one.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thanks, Anna. I see another hand here. Jennifer.
Hello, hi, you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Great, okay. Well, I had put this out to the chat also. I just wanted to ensure that, many of us in here, some might, is of unfortunate situations. Not some might even don't have it. But nonetheless, persons who try their very best, like myself, to make sure that my maintenance is paid. But I know one time you'd make mention that you were gonna lower the 3 months, like cutting it out or something. But I'm just putting it in as me personally. I wouldn't mind it stick to that because many times I paid, yes, but many times I paid like at the end of 2 months. Very rare it draw down to the 3 months. Sometimes it's in the middle, but I do pay my maintenance. So I hope it's not a case that it will be totally cut off because it really helps me. I don't know about others, but it really helps me. So I hope it can stay. Thank you.
We take that feedback. It's not one of the things that we're actively looking at now in terms of that 3 months. That's a policy that was set. But it's not in stone. That is something that we definitely, because the suggestion was made to lower it. But we think that there are some other things that we can do first that we'll be looking at. All right. Seeing another hand before you go to those comments. Selena.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I hear you. You said that you're discussing with the lawyer with the caveat, but the lawyer is an additional cost that is going to come from the community fund. And why? Because our sales agreement clearly states non-compliance lead to caveats being placed on your property. So why do we need lawyers consultation in order to do this?
Yeah, but there's a process, and it's a legal process that you'll have to go through. None of us on the community are legally trained minds. So therefore, the fact that it's a process, it's important, and it's a legal one. It's important that we get a lawyer involved. And we're not engaging the lawyer specifically for this because the lawyer is looking at other things, our constitution, our operational manual, and assisting us in the process of benevolent society / charity. She's working on that. All right. But the lawyer is important because it's a legal process. So you need a lawyer. And once you have those filings that you'll have to do, you'll have to go to court. You need a lawyer. All right. And you will have to have some stamping and that sort of thing. Title office getting involved, all of those things. So, it's necessary. All right. They come at a cost, but it's necessary. So to answer Anna's and other persons' concern about the 5,000. Now, my understanding, and I stand corrected. All right. My understanding was the 5,000 that we had paid coming in was a contribution in terms of the association. So we're making a contribution in terms of the association. I'm not aware that it was to be used to cover 2 months maintenance. That's not my understanding. So you would have paid the money in the association coming in as a first-time contribution in terms of, starting up contribution development. All right. But not as a payment to the maintenance. But I stand corrected. All right. I don't share that I am fully knowledgeable of everything. So if anybody have anything else. All right, but we can get some additional clarity on it, guys. All right, and share with the team. But my understanding is that it was a contribution to the starting of operations of the association and everybody making that first contribution, but not as a coverage for your maintenance. But we can get some further clarity on it, but that's my understanding. All right.
Oh, wow.
Hannah?
Yeah. Okay, so I was told by Gord that it's a contribution to the gate. I was told by the association office something else. My question is not what it is towards, but it is on, is it a record on my account at the office? Does it say I paid 5,000 on deposit because I didn't get a receipt
Oh,
from
that's the
Gore?
question. All right. So
That's it.
what?
It doesn't say anywhere what. Where
All
is
right.
the
So
paper
what?
that says I paid this money and it's for this? I'm told verbally. That is my
No,
concern.
but it would have been documented on your statement from Gore.
But there's no receipt though.
No man, it's on your statement. Your statement gives you they give you a statement with that line item like all the other monies that you pay to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it outlines it specifically on it. As I got it, and other members would have gotten it.
Okay,
Now, in
so
terms
it
of the
says,
records though, hold on.
mm-hmm.
In terms of the records, Gore keeps a record, all right, which is shared with us because it's monies that over time is paid over to the association. The
Oh,
route
no,
that
that
we have
makes sense.
taken, the route that we have taken is that there are some big ticket items. So when we started phase 1, we had to get the gate automated and go through that money that they have collected, which was a startup money for us. We had covered that expense through those monies. All right. Over time, all of the other persons coming in, collecting those additional 5,000. Just recently, we asked them for a statement, and we got one over 4.something million. We are in no rush to tell them to put it over to the association at this point, but the records are there, all right, and we have periodic statement that we have received, all right. So we know what is there, what they have used based on our approval, and what is outstanding, all right. So those records are there. All right. I don't want to labor this one too long, but I'm seeing another hand. Shy? I seen a Shy 1708. That's a hand up. All right. So let me move on to the question that I'd asked about the voting on the generator. So I'm seeing some feedback in the group where persons are not pleased the fact that the exec took a decision to vote on the generator. All right. But what we are saying is that if there's power outage, guys, think about the situation. We're coming into a stormy time, storm season. And if there's power outage, how does the property office serve us without that that power? All right. No, the thing is, further in this meeting, we can even ask person to quickly raise the hand if you want to have a role in it in this meeting. But we thought that as an exec, you know, you electing us to serve you. If we are seeing something that we know is going to be adverse to the community, we have to act. All right. And this was one, if you notice, the results were very close. All right. Very close. And that's the reason we said as an exec, you know, can we take a vote on this one, the fact that this one is so close, and how important it is to the community and our operations. All right. Seeing two hands up, Homer, three, Homer, Michelle, and then Nicholas, in that order.
Good evening, residents. Good evening, team and exec. I am looking at the chatter in the chat, and I think if well, let me take the liberty of saying, I think what is happening is the principle is what persons are against or have a difficulty with. And I would suggest that another thing to do based on what was said, apparently the information surrounding the generator and its usage was not clear enough. And we could have put ourselves in another position where we say, let us resubmit this to the residents with more information that would be more persuasive to lead them in this direction rather than to take a vote, because persons may be looking at it and saying, okay, well, if the executive can veto what the residents decide collectively, then this is a principle that may just we're down to the next time we have a situation where we ask persons to vote, persons may say, it's all right, I'm not going to vote because executive may do what them think them is best in the long run, and that can be dangerous. So probably that could have been a position taken where we resubmit, provide more detail and information that is persuasive, and we would be more certain of getting a majority yes as the other responses indicated.
But the other, I take your point, Sir Homer. But the other point that could be raised is that, is it going to be a situation where, you know, every no, we put those back to vote because we want to turn them into yes? You know, the thing is that we had several meetings explaining these projects. Now, if you have a property office, a generator only serve one thing, to power the place in the event of a power outage. You understand me? And it's a little lost on me. What else could you have said to our residents in terms of this need? You understand what I'm saying? So I could understand if it was
now,
something else.
I'm clear, and I
Yeah, but
understand
what
the
else
decision.
could have been said, you know? That's the part that is a little missing. But I understand the principle, though, that, you know, we might be setting a precedent. And that's
Exactly.
the reason why.
That's where we are.
That's the reason why we didn't take a decision and not, say, inform the community. So that's the difference. We are here having a community meeting where we are sharing the concern of this particular vote and bringing, again, the importance to the community of this activity, and saying to the community that we can't not afford to install an additional power source in the event a critical area as our office, our property office. That's a nucleus of the association. All right. So that's the reason why we didn't take decision and hide it away undercover. We try to be transparent as well. So we are coming back to the community to say that we cannot do this one, guys. All right. And we put it to a vote again, and the majority persons say no. Then what we do as an exec? And when light gone, what do we do as a community? I think that there's also some level of common sense in it, guys. That if you have an office which is so critical to the serving the community, it has to have some alternative source of power. All right, I see a few more feedback. I want to manage it though. So I'm seeing a Michelle Lewis. Go ahead. Go ahead, Michelle, and I'm going to ask that we keep our responses very short so we can press on with the other matters. Don't want to keep you beyond maybe 7:30 for the meeting. Not hearing Michelle? No, Nicholas, go ahead.
All right, good night. I get the impression based on how you talk is if the community doesn't have the right, because this generator, I get the feeling just because you want it or the executive want it, if the community doesn't want it and vote on it.
No, man, it's not us want it, you know.
How often does current goes away? And how long?
No, but you can't look at how often alone, you know, Nicholas. What happens when the power goes? And we're going to put in some automation things at the gate. What do we do in those instances?
You talk, and everybody listen. I'm trying to just let me finish my point. If you follow the situation,
can you speak up a little though? You're very low.
Say basically, and it's gonna.
Sorry, Nicholas, you're breaking up. We can't hear you. Can you speak a bit louder or relocate to another area? Or plug in a headphone or something?
Nicholas, you're very low and we can hardly hear you. But I think your main point was that the exec should not be making the decision for the community when the community has voted saying no.
All right, so what I'm saying is, if the community evaluate the risk and say, no, they don't want it, I find it very offensive that you're coming and trying to say, common sense and trying to push something as if we're dumb. If we vote, we are paying our money as well. So if
Mm-hmm.
is it that we pay our money and we say no, we don't want to spend on this. Yes, we have evaluated the risk and the whatever. You can't just come and push and I say as if we need to agree with you. And that's all I'm getting is that we need to agree with it. If we don't agree there, you guys are just gonna go ahead with it. It's not your
No,
money
and
there.
that has not been our
No, but
approach. And
no.
All
That's
right,
the attitude
Lanny,
they're
yes.
presenting.
Lanny, sorry,
You
can you
can't
give me a,
present a
just
certain attitude
let me explain the
and
reason for the generator.
but I understand the reason for the generator. You don't need to explain that, and that's what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understand what a generator is for. If we express that we don't want it, don't come and say we don't have common sense to know that what a generator is used for. We both say no. So I
No,
don't
All
still don't
nobody
get the
said that
point
you
why
don't
you're
have
still
common
pushing
sense,
this
though,
thing.
Nicholas. We have never said that.
Nicholas, just give
Exactly
me a
what you say.
chance to just explain once more what's the reason for the
I
generator. Just give
don't
me a
need I
chance.
don't need you to explain to me. I don't know if nobody else
No,
wants to
he's
hear.
clear. What he's saying
But
is
I
the
am clear to
principle of
say
it.
you can't
Yeah.
come and say somebody said, no, we don't want the majority say that. And you wanna come and say, you see a reason for it, and because you see a reason for it, it must go this way.
All right,
That's
I
what
will take
you're
the point.
pushing,
We'll take the point, Nicholas. And we're gonna hear.
And what I'm
We're
saying
gonna
is you
listen to
can't
all
have
the
that
points.
attitude. You can't have that attitude towards things what people are spending their money on. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of persons not paying, because you feel as if you're paying your money, you don't have a talk on how the money is spent.
Not since this administration.
You can't say not since it's administrative.
We
No,
have
but you can't be
always
where we come
shared.
and say we don't want it, and you still half of the meeting
No.
is
But
on the generator,
this is a
and we still not
hold
moving
on,
on.
Nicholas. Hold on. And we take your point, and we'll have some deliberation, and we take your point. But I don't want you to use this situation to generalize as well. All right? We have come back to the association after 2 votes. We have included the persons in decision making in this community by voting on projects. We have done that, all right, for transparency and accountability. But we are coming back to the community on this particular one to say we have to revisit it because it's too much of an important one and it's going to create some gaps. That's the reason why we are coming back to the community for discussion and dialogue. But we take your point and we continue the dialogue there. All right. Michael, go ahead, Michael.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
You're right. Good afternoon, everyone. I won't be long. Read the generator issue, Chairman. I think, in fairness, your heart and the heart of the other members of the executive is really in the right place. I don't think anyone is saying there's not a need for the generator, but the optics, I think, is what is creating the confusion. Perhaps a better way, and you have more information than I do, so I'm not trying to pretend that I do, but perhaps a better way would be to wait, either wait and revote, or the executive may want to come to a decision that there are some community matters that cannot simply be put to a vote based on the importance of it. Or I see us falling in this position over and over and over. As was eloquently said by yourself and your team, maybe um, its importance was not explained well enough, or maybe persons just never heard well enough. But whatever it is, as I say, I think your heart is in the right place, but it's optics, because it seems as if it's an override, even though I know it's not. It's the optics that people have an issue with.
Yeah, I understand, and I take that feedback, Michael, Nicholas, and the other persons who I think are sharing the same sentiment. And as an exec, we look back, we see, but I think that it's something that we have to bring back in discussion in terms of community, you know. J.A. Smith. Not here in Smith. Selena?
You had mentioned, Mr. President, that we have had several meetings, but remember that some of us moved in December, some moved in January, and some are still moving in.
Yeah, man.
I've only been privy to one meeting, and that was the end of our financial year. So
Okay.
it wasn't explained to us the what's the generator purpose. I understand, and I am for the generator, but I am making a recommendation. Why don't we wait until, because the scheme has been surviving without a generator at the office. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4, and phase 5 and the Nova started. Why don't we wait until the handing over is completed and just have everybody take a vote? Because $2 million is not monkey money, and we're already we're already non-compliant. And for us to invest $2 million there, going against the vote of the community, I don't think it is a good idea. But that is just my 2 cents.
Okay. Well, we take the feedback and we're listening to the feedback. That's what we do as well as an exec. We hear the concerns and we discuss them. All right. Fat Girl Magic. I would have preferred if you have the name that I could, announce you by the name. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know why that come up on my Gmail, but oh well. My name is Sasha.
Yes.
Lani, I just think we're not disputing whether or not the generator is necessary. It's how you come up with it, right?
Yeah.
So for you to say, okay, we sent out a form to the community voted on the form, voted on the issue, and then the executive is going to be like, well, we don't like what the community said, so guess what? We're going to do a little mini vote, and we're going to decide as an executive body. It just comes off wrong. If the community says no, we don't want a generator, similar to when we had the issue with the security, and the community voted over and over, no, we don't need a patrol, until the 2 big guys came in and they did what they did, and then everybody was like, yes, we need a patrol. Similar to that, you guys keep putting it back to the community for a vote, but you guys don't have the right, after you have seen the results, to go back within yourselves to say, well, we don't like the results and we are going to take an executive decision. That's not what you guys are there for. And it sets a bad precedent for persons to say, if they send out something on a vote, and this came up already with the previous administration, is it that you guys are only doing it because it's saying that it should be done and it's not being done due to democratic reasons? It's not leaving a good taste in person's mouth as to trusting the process, right? So it's not that persons don't want a generator. Some people may want it, but maybe the majority, 8 people, over 8 people, don't want it because it's a $2 million expense. You guys don't have the right to override that. And I think that's what the majority of persons are saying, that you taking it up in your hands when you don't like the result of a vote that was done, it's setting the wrong precedent. And then how it was said by you as well, it came off very nonchalant. Like, you guys are not understanding the importance, and we see the importance, and yeah. No, it's coming off as if.
That was never the intention, though, Sasha. So if that is the interpretation,
that's why persons were up in arms, because that is how it came off.
No, what we are trying to say is that this was an important matter, like all the others that we saw. And I think we are leaving ourselves exposed in this situation where we're going to be implementing, things like access control at the gate. All of these things need proper and stable power. And if you have any power outage, you're going to have a challenge. All right. And is a reason why we had pushed for the generator at the gate, because we understand how critical it is when power is out. We have not had to use it since installing it, but that doesn't undermine the need for it. You understand me? So we thought it important to bring back this matter to the community, to say that the exec, based on our review, thought it necessary, a necessary one based on the gap that it would have created.
And you said the words that you used, we, which is referring to you, the guys, the exec.
Yeah,
but the community doesn't think it's important based on the vote.
If you allow me, Sasha, all right, because we're taking the feedback here. We're taking the feedback here. But one thing that I think you had mentioned the whole thing of the patrol and so forth. We have only voted on this patrol once. And the feedback was to go, and we go. You understand me? So we have not had a previous instance of overriding any community decision, because we have always gone to the community to say, this we're putting to you, yes or no. And based on your response, we act. All right? This one
Sorry,
thing.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Lanny.
Yeah.
Let me just say something quick. All right. It wasn't a decision that was just made by the executive. We had saw the results and we had discussion based on what it is that we're planning to implement or what the community would have voted on already, which is to digitize the gate. We saw the need for the generator. The generator won't be necessarily for when the office is open, but when it is that power goes, we need that power to assist with other systems that will be in place. So it's not a case to say that we are putting a generator for somebody to sit in there to just have power at 5 to 7, but it's actually to operate 24 hours without power, because the office needs power to assist us based on the systems that we want to implement or what it is that the community had voted on for us to implement.
What I'm going to do, because I will take the feedback from the team and the feedback in terms of, you know, the concerns of the exec making a decision. So we take that feedback and we're going to be having some discussion at the exec level, and we'll come back to the community in terms of how we proceed. All right? But I don't want this to be taken that way we don't respect the votes of the community. What we have to do as an exec as well is that when we look at things as well and we see where we're exposing ourselves, we have to come back to the community to say, hey guys, this, we think we are getting ourselves in some muddy waters if we don't look at this. If we don't do that as an exec, we would have not been playing our role. All right? We would have not been playing our role well. So we can't see something, see a potential problem, and not say to the community, guys, we think that there might be some challenges here. Let us look back at this one. But I think the concern, which I can understand, the principle of it, and as a result, we'll have a discussion at the exec level, and we'll come back to the community on this one. All right? All right, guys? All right. So, let we look at some other matters here. Coming from the voting, guys, which I think somebody had asked about what systems. All right? Stop sharing a little there for me, Leighton. Let me just show back the agenda. Okay. All right. So one of the thing that we want to coming out of the voting is the app for access control. All right. App for access control. And I want to ask Duran J. Simpson to just quickly give an update on this app and where we are now that we have gotten the approval from the community.
All right, good evening, everyone. All right, so I'm Duran J. Simpson. As it pertains to the application or it's not a full application as it. What it is now is an online database that will allow us better accessibility in terms of the control at the gate. But the application for it will follow thereafter. So at the moment, we are in dialogue with Victoria Mutual Property Services, who will be launching this flagship software starting with us. We are in the process of looking at the contract which was provided. So we saw the demonstration and we gave them feedback. They went away and they came back with an update. Having looked at it, we realized it suits our purposes well, and those purposes include access control at the gates, the ability for the finance team to better manage the finances of the community, especially as it pertains to acceptance of the maintenance fees. It addresses some other issues for us, such as emergency, bill payments in general, etc. So, as I said, we looked at the demonstration that they did with us. We are currently now reviewing a second draft of the contract. So we got the first draft, shared our concerns, because for us, the most important thing is that the community is protected at all costs and we are getting value for money. So we shared some concerns with them and they went away again, reviewed it, and they sent an update. So we are going to review this updated draft, and from there, once it's good to go, hopefully we can start using this application in quotes starting May into June. All right. So at this time, I'll take any questions as it pertains to this.
I see a hand up. Nursing.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So the question relates to the fact that Mr. Simpson made mention that there is a database currently that is in operation before the app gets launched. My question has to do with what information is on this database and what is the level of security, or how is this information and where is this information being stored in terms of security of this data? So what is the information that's on the database, and where and how address the matter of security for this information?
So what I said, so let me clarify. An application usually refers to a mobile application. What I'm saying is it hasn't reached the stage of a mobile application as yet.
Yes, I understand that.
Good. So it's an online platform at the moment that will host the database for the community. As for your other question,
Okay, so if I may interject, please, Mr. Simpson. What my first question is, what is the information that is on this database? So for instance, is it name, addresses, and phone numbers of the residents of Phoenix Park Village? Or is it some variation thereof? That's the first part of it.
Name, addresses, and phone numbers of the residents of.
And then my second part of that is, where is that information being stored? So that
database,
where does it reside? Does it reside on a server with VMBS? Is there a different party? Right. So what is the security protocol, or what is the security measures to protect whatever that information is?
All right. So I'll answer the first question. So the first question asks, what information? It's the information that we have now. So your lot numbers, your names, and the access. So persons that are gaining access to the community that you would give access. So the information that's currently in the property office, it will just be digitalized and be placed on the database. So that's all.
So the lot number, name, and the persons who I have authorized that access for my property.
Good.
Okay, and then the security question?
If there are security questions?
The security of the information, where is that information going to reside? That's going to be on a server that is hosted by VMBS?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's going to be hosted.
Okay.
So by the server, everything is hosted on their server, and the contract specifically speaks to the fact that we own that information, and the information cannot be used as VM chooses. So the community is in charge of their own information. Similarly, the community can use VM's application as they please. So we are both VM and the community is bound by a legal agreement that would state how both parties use the information on the system.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That answers my questions very well.
One other thing, Sir Simpson, I think that the question about payment options, I'd mentioned that there's other considerations, and this is one. Now, this application, it allows for a gateway that you can now use any bank, all right, paying from any bank, using this platform as well to pay your maintenance, all right? So it will also allow us that flexibility, all right? So one other option regarding paying your maintenance, all right? But we still look at the other third-party vendors as well. All right, any other question on this one? What's happening in the chat though, Fiona and Shana? Any questions?
Yes, Sir Lani. There's a comment about how is information edited about the app, it's on the app. How is the data updated or edited? This is from Homer Hamilton.
Yes. So this will be managed by the property office. So we will have an administrator, the property administrator, property manager, will be the ones who manage the database in terms of updating information, creating all of those things. All right. So that will be managed from our office.
All right. So, and additionally, so speaking from my portfolio, as it pertains to some of the investments that the community has made in terms of ensuring our safety, that's how the generator ties into safety and security in terms of all these systems that we're looking to put in place that the community has approved. In the absence of light, we leave ourselves, or electricity, we leave ourselves vulnerable during these periods. And just, I think 2 weeks ago, we had an outage at the gate, and as we saw, everything went down until the generator chipped in. In the past, what we've seen, once light goes, things get chaotic very, very quickly. Similarly, throughout the community, the cameras or surveillance systems that are installed, in the absence of electricity, the cameras would still be expected to work, especially as it pertains to being able to record and recover that recording should something happen in that period. So that's just another way the presence of the generator assists in enabling us to maintain holistic safety and security as best as possible, because nothing is perfect. However, we can strive to be proactive and not wait until something to happen before we try to fix the issue.
Any other questions, feedback?
There is another feedback here from Sasha, which she's asking about the testing of the online platform in small groups of persons.
All right, so no, the platform was not tested in small groups. The plan for the platform is for us to get it free of cost for a month as the lead for us to go ahead and use it. It's going to require persons adapting. It will require us testing and adjusting, just like with any other software, which both the exec and the VM have acknowledged. As such, as it pertains to that, there will be no testing of small groups for it. However, we do also acknowledge the fact that we still need to have backup systems in place. So the same calling might be required in the event there are technical issues with the platform. So that's what's being implemented at the moment, because having a small group test, what we found, it's good as well to ask for it. However, the reality is persons, when asked to do things, aren't as willing as we think they are, because persons have their personal lives to live, their professional lives. And it becomes very difficult very quickly to get persons together to do a test of the application, especially a real-time test, to get the results. We tried to get it in the past, but with a previous app that we were going to try. However, it didn't pan out as we wanted it to, because when you ask for assistance, you don't get the assistance as readily as you would like. A question that I'm pretty sure some persons may be wondering why we chose VM. VM not only had a good package, they have been around for a while, and they have the technical and financial resources available to address issues quicker than, for example, a startup or a small-time business. And as such, it's easier for a community our size to go into this agreement with a company such as VM Property Services. So yeah.
And one of the things that, just before I go to Anna, one of the things that we made sure in this contract, which we had a concern with how it was worded, and we asked them to look back at it, is the whole thing of exit clause. All right. So we, as we said, any arrangement we're going into, we want it to benefit the community, because we know access control is a challenge over the time that many of us have spoken to. And the calling system sometimes is not the most reliable. All right. This is giving you the flexibility that you can log on, admit your own persons, all right, control your own happening without even have to touch base with the security. That's what this app with the other benefits. All right. But also we want to ensure that just in case there's any issue, the community is not bound forever in an arrangement. So there is an exit clause that we can exit at any time in this process. All right. So we made sure that that was also there. And as Sir Simpson mentioned, that they're giving us the portal to use for this period of time, and this will provide enough time for us to see what's happening in the whole application process, give feedback if there's needs to, for adjustments to be made. All right. Anna, go ahead.
All right. I realize that most of this access control ties back to the generator. But I'm also hearing that there's a generator at the front gate already. So I've been listening, I have been reading, but I'm not clear. Are we buying an additional generator? That was what the vote was for. Are we buying two generators? Are we buying one big one to service the gate and the property office? I'm unclear.
All right. So a generator was procured already, and
that one is at the gate.
Installed at the gate to manage all of what we have at the gate: the office, the light, the automation. The second generator was to power the office, the property office, and we are putting in lights at the gazebo area and the playground, and some of those common area close by. That
So the generator is for also the lights?
That, if it does allow me though, that we're going to put in some of the lights around that area that are going to be powered by GPS, all right? And some that will be solar, because the solars that we're putting, we realize that there are some challenges with them. We're not getting that sort of result. So we brought in back the technician to look at it, and some of them for some of those lights close by, we let the power generate, GPS powered. The generator we are proposing for the property office, or was proposed for the property office, is for the operations of the property office, internet, lighting, all of those things. And also it would have taken consideration some of the lighting for GPS powered that is around the property office area. It was spec'd a little higher than what is needed now because of future need. Because when we get to our community center, there's going to be a lot more areas, conference room, multi-purpose area, all of those things, AC, all of those things that you would have needed now an additional pull And that's the reason why we had expected for a higher one than the one that is at the gate currently. I hope that clarifies it for you. Nursing.
Hi, yes. So my other question had to do with just a backup plan. If during this month, if something goes down with the database and it's not working, is there a plan B in place? We just go back to manual?
So the backup plan is the manual process, but what we have done is that the security gate now has a computer. All right, because we wanted to digitize all of those books that are now at the gate.
Okay, understood. Thank
that's
you.
the reason why the Google form was sent out some weeks ago. We only got 500 persons filling out the Google form. All right, because we want to ensure that it captures current information of all our residents. So that form now is what the security would have had access to, a view only with some of the information that is. So in the event that you have, when we implement a system like this and something is happening, you can revert to that backup plan. Worst case scenario is calling the security gate, all right, which we know have its challenges.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah, man, no problem. Yeah, so I don't want to labor. You guys have given the feedback in terms of the generator, and we take that feedback and we're going to be going back to the exec in terms of discussion, and we share with you how we proceed. All right. So we thank you for those feedback, guys. But these were some things that are going to be happening very quickly. So the app, that's the reason why I sort of bring it forward out of the voting. All right, that was approved. The painting for curb walls. So the previous administration had started an initiative of painting the curb walls. And we noticed some of them need some touching up. And also phase 4 would have not been around when this had done. So we want to use our Labor Day project this year to repaint or paint in some areas these curb walls. So we're
what I think, those are the ones who are not paid.
all right, close the mic for me, Carol.
Yeah, coming to know it's time.
Leighton, please help me out with closing that one. Check the mic. Yeah. All right. So we're going to be using this whole activity as a Labor Day project again. All right. So during the first week of this month, we're going to be starting to procure those paints. We will engage a few groundsmen. So the team had used some persons last year. So we'll be engaging some of those persons to start painting the major thoroughfares that would have not been a part of any blocks. And then we're going to be asking the block captains with the block members to coordinate on Labor Day, or if we can even do it before, all right, because we're going to secure the paint as quickly as we can. So we can have our curb walls paint before or on Labor Day. All right. So that's one thing that we'll be doing. We spoke about the generator already, so we're going to go back to the drawing board on that based on the feedback, guys. All right. All right. So you'll see some other activities happening over the next month. All right. So based on another document that I just want to share with you very quickly, because I'd mentioned that all the projects that we had, we're not going to be able to cover all the projects given our finances. So what it means then is that we have to prioritize, guys, all right, based on the projects. And this document that I'm going to be sharing with you speaks to the same. Just want to share this document quickly before we move on and close our meeting. All right. Hope that you're seeing this spreadsheet here, guys. So what we did was that, if you remember, last meeting that we had, we mentioned that given our finances, we would have only had around $11 million to spend on projects for this year. All right. because what we did was that we took out around $10 million that we need to have as reserve always, all right? So any eventualities we can respond, and that is for the normal operations of the community. That can run our operations for 3-4 months, all right? Because we can't spend everything on project. We have to think smart. So the amount that was earmarked based on our calculations were $11 million plus, all right? And as a result, based on the approvals that are given for all of the projects, all the projects combined was around 20-something million, all right, based on our last meeting. So what it means then is that we have to prioritize based on what is it that we can do now. Now, we can add some more things if the maintenance situation improve, but already we are seeing some reduction in the maintenance. And as a result, we want to ensure that we manage our affairs very effective. So what we did was that we looked at all the projects and we looked at the voting for each project and prioritize based on the number of votes. So the highest number of votes going downwards, all right? So that's what we use to help us to sort of prioritize in terms of which projects we'll need to push in what sequence of time, all right? So based on what we have here, and this document, we'll share it with you, all right? So the CCTV, the annual cutting, the directional signs, the road patching, the converting of the parks, the garbage bin, the speed humps, the lighting in the general areas, the painting of the curb wall. There were some social activities like community sports day, access, all right? And these are all in based on the number of votes. Yes, that is, all right? The beautification project, all right? If you notice, I stopped at the beautification project because when I add all of this, we're getting $12.5 million without looking at any other project. So it therefore means that only the projects that have a cost here, we'll be able to look at right now, all right? And we'll have to even be careful based on how we see the maintenance going, all right? But this was one of the ways that we thought we could prioritize, so there's some level of objectivity based on what the community gave the highest yeses to, all right? And then we will act accordingly, but we still have to watch it based on how we are seeing the maintenance going, because we want to keep that reserve of around 10.5 million it was, all right? That just in case, you know, we have any challenges going forward. Any questions on that? Any feedback on that in the chat? I've seen some things in the chat, team.
Not seeing a comment about that in particular that you just read, Lanny.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, so let me go back to the agenda. So that's how we want to prioritize there, guys. And again, I just want to drive home the point that as a team, we are mindful of your concerns and your opinion, all right? And we take those seriously, all right? We take those seriously, and that's the reason why everything that we do as an exec, we make sure our point of duty that we come to the community, all right? And once we get feedback, we will go back to the team and have those discussions, because the community is what makes the final decision in any matter. We can give our recommendation and our advice, but if the community is not pleased with our recommendation and advice, it only makes sense that we go back to the drawing board and come back to the community. All right, good. All right, so the next thing on the agenda quickly is the staffing matters at the property office. All right, so I hinted at this earlier that it had also impacted the preparation of the financials in time for this meeting, pulling all the necessary information. 2 weeks ago, or a little over a week ago, our temp that was at the property office tendered her resignation with immediate effect, all right, which put us in a bind and has continued to put us in a bind, all right. Now, this raised some serious concerns because I think persons would have also remembered just recently we had an issue with our previous office admin, all right? Although a little different circumstances. But for total transparency, just to bring the team up to date in terms of what are some of the happenings in terms of this recent resignation. We're a large community, and it sometimes demands a lot of anybody in terms of managing the service level and the service that is given on a daily basis based on the demands that come to you, all right, on a daily basis. And it can be sometimes very overwhelming sometimes, all right? Especially, you know, as customers, because we are all customers to the property office. And sometimes some customers can be very challenging. You know, some customers also can be very rude, all right? There have been several discussions I had to be having with the property admin, Tim, to just encourage her each day based on the experiences that she would have shared with me, all right, on a daily basis. The attacks that are made from time to time. And I know, you know, none of us can say that we are perfect, and there might be challenge, you know, on both sides, all right? But you would have shared with me some of the challenges that, you know, of the attack, the statements that are made. It has gone to a point where persons will be in the groups, the WhatsApp groups, you know, giving some very, you know, rude remarks about her, calling her names, you know, speaking to her personality and XYZ. And funny enough, instead of sometimes persons in these groups help to manage these discussions, what happened is that the information was screenshot and shared with the young lady as well, all right? To be frank with you, I don't know for what intent and purpose that was done, because that can only make a matter worse if somebody is already having a level of frustration, all right? So amidst all that, and yes, there were some internal challenges as well. You know, she's on her lunchtime. We don't have a proper facility for lunch, all right? Unfortunately, not at this time. She's on her lunch break sometime. Persons will come to the office, expect that she should leave the lunch that she's attending to and serve them. And if she don't give in to those requests, then the attack, the verbal attack starts. You know, we pay you. You're not the knock at daytime, so I'm not if you left your lunch and come serve me. And I can understand that this can be very taxing on persons. You know, and if you're the strongest of persons, sometimes will have a challenge in dealing with these situations. So it reached the breaking point. And as I said, there was also some internal challenges as well. On our side, we were in the process of getting her some assistance. So you would have seen some ad sent out about recruiting the property manager. We thought it was important to get the property manager first. We did a round of interviews, very good candidates, but the asking price were outside of what we could afford at the time, you know, 5 million, 4.5 million, 6 million. We did a second round of interviews that we have now narrowed down to make an offer. We are in the process of making an offer. There's 2 candidates. There was 3. We have now narrowed down to 2. And I was hoping that we would have been able to go over that hurdle before something like this, you know, would have transpired. But we are now faced with this scenario where just as we are sorting out the property manager, the temporary admin staff just couldn't take it anymore, and she expressed that she no longer want to continue. I'm also going to be very real to the community as well, because what I've seen over time as well, guys, is there's a level of politics at work in the community. And it's one thing that we have to be mindful against. And if we let sometime politics take the best of us, because all of us, some persons have their grouping, they have their likes, their dislikes, and based on legacy issues that we have as well in the community, with previous administrations, etc. What I've seen when this young lady come is that there were persons who were intentional on frustrating the young lady. I must tell you. So while there might have been issues, all of us have our challenges and our gaps. All right. There were intentional effort to frustrate the young lady. Some persons were very happy with the predicament that we found ourselves in when Cleon resigned with immediate effect. We were able, with the assistance of good-hearted person, to put an interim measure in place. And here we have found ourselves where similar happenings, where persons deliberately try to frustrate the young lady. And I've seen communication being sent to the young lady. And I'm wondering, what is the reason for sharing those information with the young lady? All right? To the point where it has caused her to make her final decision. All right? So as it is now, we are left exposed in terms of the property office. You would have noticed for the last week or so that we were closed. All right. We had to put an interim measure in place for the last 2 days, which is Friday and Saturday. All right. And we'll have to find another interim measure over the next 2 weeks, because the 2 persons that we have identified for the property manager, they are currently working and are not available because they have to give adequate notice to their current employer, all right, which is 2 weeks, a minimum of 2 weeks. All right. So for the next 2 weeks, we will have to put in place a plan to serve the community the best way we can at this time. So we're going to be putting in some interim measures. So it will not be full operations over the next 2 weeks. I will share the communication with the community by tomorrow, how we're going to work this week and how we're going to work the next week to come. So we're going to quickly make the offer to the property manager, so we can have that person coming in, and then we will seek to select an admin office, office admin during this process as well. So we have a listing of persons who have submitted their application, but we were trying to get the property manager first. The fact that we already had a attempt that was holding our own for the most part, all right, irrespective of the challenges that you face on a daily basis, all right? But I think as an association, though, we have to find a way how to put politics aside, because when we frustrate the process, all right, and to be frank with you, some of it is intentional towards yours truly, all right? But when we do certain things, it doesn't only affect me as a member of the community, it affects everybody, because the property office is there to serve everybody, all right? So quite unfortunate, the situation that we are back in, but the commitment is that we're going to fix it by having 2 persons in the office. So the property manager will come over the next 2 weeks. We put an interim measure in place, not be full operations. And in that same breath of time, we will now recruit an admin. So we have those 2 persons running the operations. All right. I'm seeing some feedback was coming in.
Yes.
Want to share any of those?
Someone is asking if there any consideration regarding the opening times for the property office in the future, possible later hours in the evening.
Yes. Well, with 2 persons in the office, it provides some advantages. So what happened before when you had 2 persons in the office is that we were able to have a longer operational day, all right? And also more days in the week, all right? So once we have those 2 persons, we'll go back to that sort of mechanism where we expand the day, all right? And also the week to better serve the community. Fiona, any other?
Yes, there is another concern. It's unrelated to your topic, so you can choose to address it now or later. But there's a lot of stream messages here about the dog situation.
Yes.
About the dog causing a nuisance.
All right.
That's
So I'm
coming up a
making a
lot in the
note.
chat.
I'm going to address that one. Any other feedback about the staffing?
Yes. Yes, someone has indicated that they believe that we should hire a HR company to vet the property office staff for hire. Someone is concerned it's taking too long.
Yes. Well, we sought the support of 3 HR companies when we first started the process. Again, what these companies charge, they charge 20% of the annual fee for the persons, to recruit the persons for you, all right? And at the time when we had discussed it, the cost would have been a factor. So the process, why the process took a little longer than usual though, is that we had a first round of interviews, but while they were excellent candidates, we couldn't make a selection, all right, because we wouldn't have the money to pay. So we had to do another round of interviews, all right, to get the person at the price point that we can afford given our financial situation. So I agree with you. The process was a little lengthy, but the HR services, they come at a cost as well. So what we had to do was there was a HR consultant that is within the community that gives some support in the process, all right? Free of cost. Any other, Fiona, before we
Yes,
on?
yes. There's also a concern about Miss Kenisha Hewitt has indicated that smaller communities have a team of up to 4 staff working at their office.
Yes.
2 is inadequate for a community of 2,000 houses.
And the way I share your sentiment and others share your sentiment is that discussion we had in previous meetings, because the structure that we are envisioning, there are 2 options. It's to get a property management company to run the affairs of the association. That can come at a pretty penny, all right? The other option is to have more staffing in the property office. But more staffing means that you have to have the resources to pay them. And you also have to have the place to put them. One of the idea behind the container, the additional container that was, voted down twice in a row, is that it would have served as additional office space for that intention when we get additional staff members. All right. Also, what we envision in terms of the structure is that you'll have a property manager, and then you'll have property officers for all phases, all right? And also a office admin, all right? And also someone in charge of accounts. I think a staff complement like that would have helped us greatly. Again, if we are not able to even afford a proper property manager based on what we need the property manager to do, think about 5 officers plus the property manager, an admin, and an accounts person. That's a massive bill at the end of the month. And that's the reason why we are impressing on persons the need for the maintenance, because it's out of the maintenance we can afford more staff. But based on where the maintenance is, we can hardly, secure 2, much less to go to where we want the vision to go. But I take your point, 2 persons, totally inadequate with a size, a community like us. All right? But it's something that will have to be looked at in terms of how we manage going forward. Any other question on that one?
I'm just seeing another one. I'm seeing the last one here. Anna Hodges is asking, what does the property manager do? What will their role be?
Yes. Well, we can share the ad that was sent out and also, you know, snaps of their JD. But the property manager is the one that will manage the entire affairs of the association, manage in terms of how the collection is going, manage in terms of our contractors. Because one of the challenges that we have had in past, which have improved to some degree, is even our maintenance team, cutting and so forth. You have here several complaints in the past. Sharika have been deputizing and doing a pretty good job in terms of managing that with the contractors, because the property manager is supposed to be doing those things, ensuring that we're getting value for money. All right. Our garbage collection, Sharika has been doing the micromanagement in reaching out when there are challenges. All right. Ensuring that our collections are happening. All right. So all of these different activities, or reporting, compliance report, all right, all of these are activities that the property manager will need to manage, and we need that person, because as it is now, what you find is that the executive have to be micromanaging in office operation supposed to work. All right. We need to have clear separation of duty. So reports and those things come to us through the property manager, things for approval, things for review. All right. And let the property manager do their work, which is an external and an independent. So it can't say that persons are biased and Lanny doing this or Leighton doing this or Collette doing this because of X. All right. This would have been an independent person acting in the interest of the community, and we will provide the oversight for the team. All right. So very critical role. And we're hoping that these 2 persons that we have narrowed down to, one will accept, so we can then have that person in the next 2 weeks. But as I said, we're going to have some challenges over the next 2 weeks. It's not going to be the full operations, but we'll advise you by tomorrow. All right. But the matter of politics, though, is something as a community that we have to think serious of. And the more we have persons in the office, it will pull away the exec, that it slows down that whole, you know, agitation that will come from the political actions of some in the community. All right. And it doesn't serve us well when that happens. All right. I spoke to the updating of the records already by the community. We will seek to see how we can close that gap, because we only got 500 plus responses. We're going to see how we can do that. The number 4, which is the Benevolent Society. So we, based on the discussion we have been having with both the lawyer and the Department of Friendly Society, we were advised through the lawyer that it would have been better for us to go back to the Benevolent Society, which is where we had started originally. Right? So we had an orientation meeting with the Department of Friendly Society, and we're furthering those discussions to see how the Benevolent Society will provide the same support in terms of making us exempt from income tax. All right. So myself and Leighton in the coming week will be planning another meeting to go by the office, because they have shared some additional information with us that we just want to properly ventilate. All right. They're saying that the fact that we are already a company, we'll have to, what's the term that they use, Leighton? We'll have to liquidate the company, and that process sometimes can have some challenges. So we're going to be setting a meeting now to talk through the process, the application process with them, and what is the best way going forward because we need to get one of these things approved to take away that obligation, that tax obligation that faces us each year. All right. So I just want to advise the team that work is still ongoing in terms of this exercise. Taking a little time, a little longer than we thought it would, but we'll set another meeting with them to go through that process, and the lawyer is giving us some support there. The update on our constitution and our operational manual. The lawyer is close to finalizing this document to share it with us. All right. So we'll follow up with her in the coming week so we can provide some specifics in terms of timeline to share that with the community. All right. The commitment from Gore. So I'll speak to the whole thing of the dog, because that was one of the commitments that they had given us to help us with the dog situation, because that is becoming a nuisance. Well, it was a nuisance and it's even getting worse. All right. Now, what Gore had done was to partner with Jamaica. That one always messed me up, you know, the Cruelty to Animals, all right? Agency. Partner with them.
JSPCA.
Good, thanks much. So always trick me up each time. So they have partnered with them to catch the dogs. That partnership didn't work out. All right. We went the route of securing 2 cages to trap the dogs. All right, bait them and trap them. We tested and it was able to work. All right. Now the gate for phase 5 was closed off for a while, but we're still having dogs in that area. Now that they are working, they have started working on phase 5 for a couple months now. Phase 5 gate. It's open back up. So what we had planned was to, these groundsmen that's now coming into paint, we were going to give them a contractual arrangement to help us with capturing these dogs using the trap, the gate, the cages that we purchased. But the fact that the place is open, the more you will catch these dogs is the more they'll come. All right. So that's the predicament that we find ourselves in. There's another solution that I can discuss on the platform here, which I think is a solution that we really need at this time to consider. All right? Because if we're not getting the help that JSP, whatever that name is, they're not coming here to run down the dogs. They tell us that they don't have that resource. All right? And the cages that we have secured, if we put them in place, the place is still open because the gate 5 is under construction. So they are going to continue to come from that area until that gate is completed and secure. So I've seen some other solutions that we can discuss here, but I think we're at a stage where we'll have to take more drastic actions. All right? That's the most I can say there. Selena?
What about the persons harboring the dog? Because when you run the dog, you stone the dog run go one place to lay down. What about the citizens harboring the dog? They're inconsiderate.
And to be frank with you, we had an experience like that. The first time we test the cage, myself and Simpson. All right? The first dog that we catch, we were told the dog was let out, you know, when we went back for the dog the following day. Because we found that it was a dog that one of the person in that close by area adopted. And even when we explained the night to the person that, hey, your gate, your area is not fenced, it's not secure. All right, we have to do this. All right. And the person said, yeah, man, I understand. And we left the cage in a parklet area to go back for it in the morning so Gore could move it to the company that was going to help them. And we went back there, the cage was pulled. So I understand the point that you make, Selena, and that's a challenge with us as people. We only think, you know, within our 4 walls. All right. But the solution, one of the solutions is we're pressing on Gore. Gore said that the gate should be closed by later this month into early June. And once that area is closed, then we can now secure the groundsmen that are going to now use this caging facility that we have purchased to help us in that process. And there's another extreme process that I can discuss here that I know some persons are looking at. All right?
Look here, but I have a, for the person, if they're on the line or harboring the dogs, look here, I'm going to poison the dog if the dog come in on me yard. I just want it known. I am going to poison it. The amount of dog feces that me come home, come see in my yard, and me not have dog.
We share your concerns, Selena. I hope they hear, but when you're doing certain things, be careful of how you voice it. As I said, we're looking at some other matters. We can't discuss it here. All right, but we know the dog thing has reached boiling point. All right, and we're working with Gore to see how quickly they can close back phase 5, so we can both have the groundsmen coming in to help us catch those dogs with the cages that we purchased. Gore expanded the guardhouse for us in phase 5. It's not wider, but longer, because they don't have the room to make it wider. All right, so that will help us a little in terms of space in the guardhouse for our guards. They have repainted the roofs in phase 1. That was a commitment that they gave. I've seen the only ones that they have not repainted are the ones where construction started. And they said they won't be touching those. They don't want there to be any challenges. All right. So I just want to update you on that. The rental agreement for the gazebo, just to advise the team that we not only rent the gazebo, but also we have chairs and tables at a cost that you can also rent. And we are in discussions with Gore to see if we can get any support in making other gazebos throughout the community. All right? Because we see some other spots that we could have some. And the one gazebo is proving a challenge based on the amount of persons that we get demanding the space. Just to advise though that, you know, when persons rent the gazebo, ensure that you clean up the air, all right? Remove the garbage, because we know we have the nuisance in terms of the dogs, all right? So just ensure that that is done for me, all right? Just before I move further, we'll wrap up very quickly. We just have one more thing on the agenda. Are there any other matters that are being raised in the chat, Fiona?
It's mostly concerning the dogs. That's basically the recurring issue here, stray dogs.
Okay. So there's no other matters here.
And suggestions of eradication and
no,
expansion.
You can share some of those. Were there other suggestions than what we spoke about?
Yes, someone suggested eradication.
No. Other than what we spoke about. I think
I'm not.
Other than that one.
No, I'm not seeing any. No, I'm scrolling through to see if I see anything else.
Any feedback on any of the other matters that we spoke about?
Yes. Anna Hodges, she suggested that the office space could possibly be expanded to receive mail by the office.
To receive what?
Mails by the office. Letters, mail.
Postal thing?
Postal mail.
Yeah, the space at the office can't accommodate anything more, to be frank with you. I think I saw somebody talking about the bathrooms earlier. I think I agree something like that.
Yes, someone suggested the bathroom for the property office. And also, since you're on the matter, another issue about property office is that the transportation was an issue for the last manager, and they're asking if the issue was resolved.
Yeah, so what we are, so we're going to take those two. Now, what we have done in terms of the bathroom facilities is one was being occupied by Nature's Paradise with their equipment and stuff. which we had dialogue with them, and that is now resolved. So if you notice at the property office, there's a little blue cage to the side. That's where Nature's Paradise store their equipments and stuff. So it has now freed up that bathroom, that second bathroom. All right. We will have some renovation done. I need some painting and fixing up. All right. And we'll do that during the course of this month as well. But what has been happening since we are really having a space issue and we have not gotten the approval to purchase that container for additional space or office space, we have now have to resort to be using that second bathroom that we wanted to free up for access to the community to now storing things for ourselves. That's a reality that we are faced with. So while Nature's Paradise is no longer in it, we are now storing some things in it. And if you notice, even the first bathroom, there's a lot of things being stored in it that really is a sore eye, you know, when you go in the bathroom to use it. So what we're going to be doing is doing some renovation and move out as much as we can from the first bathroom to the second one to use as a temporary storage until our community center is ready for us in another year. All right. So that's one of the challenges we face with space. Why a container? But instead of us buying a container for space, we thought it was necessary to maybe buy a retrofitted container that could be used for office space / storage, because that additional container could be used for, you know, lunch space. Imagine you employ people and they don't have anywhere to even eat. You know, you need to have a meeting, you know, those sort of things. The space is limited, you know. So that was the reason, the thinking behind those stuff. But again, we respect the views of the community. We can only put the ideas to the community. The community has the final say, and we will abide by the decision of the community. All right. So
Transportation.
The transportation for the property manager, you were saying?
Yes, as it relates to going around and inspecting and ensuring our projects are
So
done.
what we
and so
did this
forth.
time around, and that's one thing that we put in the ad, that we wanted the person to be mobile. All right. So the two persons that we have in the second batch looking at, both of them drives. And the package that we have looked at, we are looking, and for total transparency, I'm sharing it with you. We're looking at an arrangement of 2 to 2.5 for this position. All right. And we will so package it that a portion of whatever that final decision is will go to some upkeep, gas, the fact that we have requested that service. All right. The other thing that can use to help us as well, especially when there are certain enforcement that needs to be done, we have the services of the patrol. All right. And in those instances, we will seek the support of the patrol to assist the property manager in those enforcement. All right. So discussions that are going to be uncomfortable, we'll use those services then to have that property manager alone engaging in those discussions. All right. So that's the thinking behind solving that issue of transportation. We have to be mobile.
And the last point I'm seeing here is from Stacy and Delevante. She says, respectfully, my view is that we should be moving to encourage digital payments rather than hiring 5 people. We're in 2022.
I guess you're speaking to the additional persons in the office. The additional person in the office is not for collection of payment, you know. It's to serve the community, because if it was only payment alone that the person in the office deal with, trust me, that would have made the thing so easy, you know. So the demands that come at the office, the question, the query, you know, and that's the reason why even going the route of where you can use the platform to register your visitors, your long-staying visitors, your Airbnb guesses. The app give you all of those, not the app, no, but the platform give you all of those things. So it will take some of the pressure from the office. So that's the direction we're going. All right. Where we digitize the gate. So anything that the office has, the gate can see it as well. So you don't have to have people moving between the. So we're moving in that direction. The platform also provides you additional digital options to make payment. We're thinking about third party as well. So the additional persons in the office is not so much to deal with payment. It's to deal with the other services. And we can have persons dedicated to the different phases because it's a large community. All right? It's a large community and you can't digitize other services that require people to handle, you know? So that's a challenge we find ourselves in, unfortunately.
Before you move on, Lanny, there's another concern. What are the provisions for persons who resist digital payment, who want to pay by cash? Because that option is not available. That's a concern shared here.
There are some security concerns when you handle cash. And it has been a policy that was implemented from day one that we're not handling any cash at the office. All right. And that's the reason why looking at those third-party vendors like the Paymasters, the Bill Express, we're looking at that option as well. So you could take your cash there because there are other things that you'll have to put in place to manage the whole cash thing and the exposure. That can be very untidy. All right. So this administration, we're staying away from that one as well. We don't think it's wise to handle cash at the office at this time. Any other before we move to the new business? There?
Seeing any other, but there are 2 hands raised.
All right, so we take.
There are some more questions in the chat. If you can look there, please.
And remember, we say if we miss any, you can raise your hand and just raise them for us. So just in case there's any oversight. Narsing, I'm seeing Narsing and then Kevin.
Okay, so I really just wanted to add some comments to what you mentioned, Mr. Main, and this would help with the person who was asking about the property manager's functions, as well as in some way helping to shed light on the number of people in the office. So the property manager, in addition to the contractors, handling of the contractors and making sure that we get value for money, we also know that they would also liaise with the security on a day-to-day basis. But for me, one of the key things that's supposed to be happening, which is a role of the property manager's office, is the review of the contracts and the bills, the building permits and so on, that is supposed to be going on within the community, as well as addressing those persons who are non-compliant with the painting of the houses in the assorted colors that I've seen on occasion nowadays. Those persons who are building beyond what is required in their terms of agreement. And those are things that are covered by the property manager's office. And that is a key function that I think is going to continue to be missed. And if it continues, as we all know as Jamaicans, we like to descend into chaos very quickly. That's what's going to happen to the community. And that's a role of the property manager's office. And so that's my 2 cents where that is concerned.
Yes, and that enforcement is critical.
Yes, yeah.
That enforcement is critical. We see some things happening. Just today, someone shared with me a flyer where there is an advertisement for a daycare in the community. You know? And these are some things that you'll see happening, and it let us wonder if persons are not reading the agreement that they sign, you know, because the thing tell you that you can't be operating any business on the premises. And if you're advertising a daycare, you know, that's a clear breach. I've had to be, with the absence of the property manager, I've had to be engaging with some of the residents. And sometimes the discussion, I tell you, it make you wonder. All right? Persons want to keep a fish fry, advertising it, telling persons to come. And they tell a blatant that it's for them premises and they pay cash. You hear? They never credit it. They pay cash and they can't do anything on their property. And these are some of the responses that you hear when you engage persons from time to time. That it let you wonder if we're thinking big picture or we're only thinking just recently. I heard of a sale of a property. All right, one of the small ones, similar to mine's. All right, we paid 9-point-something million. The person did absolutely nothing to the house. $16 million the person was able to sell the house for. And when we do certain things that can run the risk of creating havoc and challenges for our community, we can impact negatively our value of our property value. And sometimes we don't think big picture. A house, some renovation was done, expansion, $30-odd million. All right? Can you find a bank that will give you this sort of money? No. So the value that we have here have to be guarded. And the property manager, as you rightly mentioned, Michelle, plays a critical role, because the exec, which is engaged otherwise, will not have that sort of time to be doing that legwork. All right? So hopefully we'll have this person in place by another 2 weeks. But as we said, we're going to have some teething pain while we get into that time period. All right? Yes, thanks. Lily mentioned people renting the house for 80,000, 100,000. Right? So we have to be careful, guys, that we don't run down our property by looking too short term in our own personal situation. All right? Sorry, Kevin, to keep you waiting so long. Go ahead.
All right, that's all right. I'm just piggyback on one of the questions that was asked about the status of JOTC coming to the community. Yeah. I think that was one. And the other one was really and truly we're still waiting to see that one thing that the community is going to do legally pertaining to the non-compliant residents, because at the end of the day, that is going to be critical.
Yeah, well, legally, the most that we can do is the caveat. But one of the other things that we can do as well is just to make it uncomfortable. You shouldn't be benefiting from the services that the persons are sacrificing to pay. All right. So even the application that we're going to be rolling out, we're going to start with everybody, because we need everybody to be trained and be familiar with it. But as soon as we get through that process, only the persons who are so paying will have access. All right? Everything else, you'll have to go to the gate and do yourself. A simple thing as the 2 gates that we're going to be having very soon, we're going to be looking to automate one of them. All right? And who are non-compliant will have to use the manual gate, which might be a little more journey. All right? So these are different things that we're going to be doing, all right, in short order, to help with this process of compliance. And as we said, it's not to attack anybody, because we have been saying if you're having challenges, come into the office and talk to somebody. Make a work out an arrangement. But some persons, they're defiant, they're not paying, and they find every excuse in the book not to pay. All right? They don't know how their money is spent. One thing you can say is that every project that we have executed in this project, we got the approval of the community, and the community was made aware. All right? Nothing has been done in this community that the community is not aware of in terms of the spending of their money. All right? So nobody can use, oh, I don't know how my money we're spending, and when my money I go to our people are robbed. No. Can't happen. Won't happen. All right? So that's not an excuse. but some persons just say they're not paying and they find some other excuse to piggyback on. All right. But we agree, Kevin, that we have to look seriously on the whole thing. All right. And that will happen.
So Lani,
Yes.
Ian McKenzie is asking, what's the construction adjacent to the playground?
All right. So I reached out to the proprietors. All right. And we're going to be having some discussion tomorrow. Because they had asked for a meeting with the exec, and it had slipped me, to be frank with you. Because they said that they had some developmental plan that they wanted to share with the community. Originally, they had shared, by the way, the place is earmarked for a school and other services, right? But mainly a school. And there's a thinking that based on what is happening in the community, there could be some additional services that are offered from that area. And as a result, they wanted to engage with the exec. I'll quickly have that meeting so we can have a fulsome understanding of what the plans are. Because they did mention that they will engage with us before they start anything. I know see some marking out happening for foundation, it seems. So therefore, I will quickly touch base by tomorrow, and I'll share with the team what's happening. But they had mentioned to us that, you know, a mini-mart they were thinking about and that sort of thing. I'd mentioned to the proprietor that we were of the same thinking that when the community center is built and handed over, we wanted to have a commercial area in that space. We won't be involved in the commercial activity, but to rent space for persons who could provide some essential services. A mini-mart, a doctor office, maybe a pharmacy, hairdressing parlor, barber shop, those basic services that a community our size don't have to be traveling, you know, too far to get. So they said that they had some similar ideas, and as a result, they wanted to engage in a discussion with the exec, so we can all be on the same page. So I'll get that moving, and then I'll be able to provide some more clarity. All right. Good. Don't want us to go beyond 8. All right. I said 7:30. I'm now almost half an hour over that time. Are there any questions there, Fiona?
A few hands raised, about 3 hands or 4 hands raised.
3 hands. All right. So let me quickly deal with those hands and then deal with the last item on the agenda. Let me go back to my screen here. So it's Sasha, then Karine, then a number of hands. Sasha, go first.
Good evening. My issue is that if there's a phase that is always behind budget when it comes to compliance.
You're very low though, Sasha.
I'm saying if there's a particular phase, I'm looking at the repainting of phase 1 roof. But I'm looking at based on what you present on your schedule, that phase 1 is always behind when it comes to compliance. Don't you think they need to be compliant before they can reap this benefit?
Well, based on what is there, all the phases are in have compliance issues. The only one that is over 50 is phase 4. So average phase 1 is 50 something. Same thing for phase 3, and average for phase 4 is 40, high 40s based on the last 3 months, and high 60s for phase 4. So the matter of repainting the roof though was not something that the association did. All right, it was a complaint that was made some time ago, and Gore had painted some roofs but had left some, all right, for different reasons. We had engaged with them, and they had suggested that they will they won't be able to touch back phase 1, but they'll finish up phase 3, which I think they did. And then they came back to us after some more dialogue that we had with them, that they will repaint the ones that weren't painted in phase 1. All right, so I don't think it could be used, in a non-compliant sort of benefit way, given that circumstance. But we're looking at some other things. All right, maybe not that one. All right, Sharika.
So what about? Good night. It should be Karine next.
Karine, my fault. Where you went though? Because I'm now seeing only Sharika, Narsing, and Andre. But go ahead,
Okay.
unless you lowered your hand. Go ahead,
Oh,
Karine.
yes, I did. I'm not sure if this is a matter that the association can handle, but I'm going to voice it nevertheless. When I went to sign my agreement at Gore in September last year, I was told that as it relates to property tax, Gore would pay 9 months and I would be responsible for paying 3 months. I have made contact with Gore recently and I was told that they will get back to me on the matter because they don't have the information available. And I have tried to make contact since, and I am not getting anywhere. So I don't know if you can advise me on this matter.
All right. Well, I'll speak to you off the record. My number is 863-7805. So you can just reach out to me and we talk and see if we can get you in touch with Miss Pauline Lewis at the Gore office. That one is a little new to me. I've never heard Gore given that sort of support, to be frank with you. So I'll need to get some information on it. So let me talk outside the meeting. All right, Karine?
Repeat the number, please.
863-7805. So that's my cell number. All right, Michelle, go ahead.
So I'm a little concerned about this construction by that area that you spoke of, Lani. As far as I can recall, that was area, and you can touch base and guide me if I'm off base on this, but I thought it was dedicated for only a school.
That was our information, that it was earmarked for a school. But
because here's where I'm going with that. And I'm sure you can tell from my tone that I really don't think that if it is designated for a school, we should not open a window or even crack a doorway for somebody to come in and put in a commercialized area there that might very well denigrate to a strip mall or a plaza kind of situation. Not when it's in such close proximity to all of that set of houses that's right there.
Yes. And that's the reason why we want to quickly have some dialogue to get an understanding what's the plan.
Okay.
Right? And
my other thing to consider is,
hold on a
which I'm sure you will.
Hold on a quick minute, Michelle. And I already spoke to Gore because I need to have a clear understanding what the agreement, if there was any legal binding to that agreement, because that's critical as well. If it was open and there was nothing legal binding them to say is a school, we hear that it was designated for a school, but I need to know what was the agreement,
yes.
in discussion from that point of view, so we can be informed going in the meeting. But
we certainly don't want them to start spending their money doing a construction only to realize that it's a no-go, because we want to be considerate of themselves as individuals and their own business.
So first thing in the morning, we're going to be reaching out to Miss Heron and Mr. Heron, who are the proprietors. And then we will take it from there. But I already, when I passed there and saw the pegs, I reached out to Gore to just get some more clarity in terms of what was that agreement and was there black and white in terms of that agreement.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Would appreciate an update separately, if anything.
Yes, definitely. We know that we'll need to provide that one to you guys.
All right, cool.
And also some other matters spoke about earlier. Sharika?
I just wanted to address the painting of the roof, which you did, and I saw that as one of the questions in the chat. In addition to that, you skipped responding to, I think, Kamara, about the JUTC roof.
Oh, yes.
I know. Yeah. I know we've had some discussion around it in the past where we were discussing, engaging JUTC to
Leave it.
a premium service to
Come
enter
this
the
way.
community. I think
Yes,
someone is
yes.
to enter the community. A number of residents were against it. Currently, I know we are in dialogue. Not sure if Leighton is here with someone from JUTC, not to enter the community, but to add it as a route, wherein when you exit the community, you will be able to buy a JUTC bus to go to. Well, I'm not sure which area yet or how many routes we could have added, if it's to Spanish Town or back into the other parts of Portmore.
Could you close your mic for me, Latoya? Latoya Sams, please.
I'm going to mute her.
Yeah.
So that's about it. I just wanted to address
Yes.
that part.
We're going to further discuss. Leighton had shared with me some additional info that he got. Because we had originally spoken to the marketing manager and the route coordinator, who was willing to give us support, but there was some, as you rightly said, some feedback to the contrary about having them come in the community. To be frank with you, it had slipped us to have put it in the voting recently. All right, because again, anything that we are on this side, well, divided on, the best route of action is to have the community, just make a vote and make a final decision on it. All right, but it had really slipped me. But let me follow up with Leighton, what he had discussed, so I can reconcile minds, and then we'll come back to the community on it. But it's not off the table, all right, because good support for those who are not mobile. Yes. All right. So the last hand that I'm seeing up here is Odin.
Hi, good night. All right. So I heard mention of a commercial center possibly being in the area where the community center is.
All right. Hold on, guys. I don't want to start that narrative because I'm not sure of. Remember, it was earmarked for a school. We haven't had a discussion with them yet. Allow us to have that discussion because I don't want to start sending information out there that might not be accurate. Yeah?
I'm just something. There is a construction happening in phase
Yes.
4 and block F. I was told that is the community center.
That's a community center, yes.
So if there's a commercial area, it is not in the same area where persons are seen in phase 1 that is earmarked for a school.
Oh, so let me clarify that. So it's two different things. So the area that is in phase 1 was earmarked for a school, but there was some information that there might be some other plans for the area. And that's what we want to meet to clarify on. All right. But phase 4 now, where you're speaking to, that's where the designated community center, playground, multipurpose area is gonna be. All right. So that construction that you're seeing there is for that, but it won't be handed over until phase 5 is completed and goers leaving the community. Because that's the area that they are now using for their site, all right? Their site operations. But in that area, we spoke to Gore about the need to have a commercial area. None was designated in the plan. So that will have to be an association effort. All right? So there's space in the area, but a commercial, only thing they're providing is office space, an auditorium, kitchen, bathroom, those sort of things, but no commercial space. And the building currently, they're saying won't be able to facilitate it. So we, as an association, we will have to look at the spaces around that area to have a commercial area if we so desire. All right? So just for clarity, Odin. All right, so last thing on the agenda is that we are coming close to another term, all right? For this administration, our term will come to an end in July, all right? And I want to just put us on notice that we'll need to very quickly put the election machinery in place to facilitate the selection of your new executive that is going to take you through another year. Now, there were some concern previously and currently about the tenure, and just want to share with you guys that the tenure of the exec was deliberately done for a year to allow all the phases to come on before we make any adjustment in terms of a longer tenure. Now, we are close to having phase 5 completed, all right? And once phase 5 is completed, then as a community, we can then decide there and then the new terms of arrangement in terms of the tenure of the exec. But for now, it's a year, all right? So you serve a year and you make the offices vacant for the next sets of election. So just want to advise you that we're going to be activating the election committee by around mid-May, all right? We're going to be opening for nominations in June, early June, to allow for proper campaigning, all right, by the end of June. And all of this is to facilitate by early July a voting exercise for your new exec, so we can announce your new team that will take over the job of running the affairs of the community by mid-July. Now, we're hoping that we'll have the staffing matters, laid to rest by then, so the exec can really operate like an exec, all right, and not micromanaging the affairs of the association, all right? So we're hoping that we can make it a little better by the time we leave for the next team that will take over and continue this important work to further develop our community, all right? So we'll have more meetings as we draw closer to that time, all right? And you'll hear further in terms of that election process, all right? Wrapping up time, any other business? We have mentioned a number of them before, so I guess they were all duly addressed during the course of the meeting. So if there's nothing else, guys, I want to say a big thank you for turning up and sharing in the meeting. And just as I close, I want to say to you that we take the feedback in terms of the generator at the office, all right? And we'll go back in terms of exec decisions, that discussion, and we will then advise the team further in terms of the next step, all right? Good. And the matter of the construction, we'll get some information and share that with you as well. So just remember, the office, all right? The office is also an area of concern. So over the next 2 weeks, we'll share some information with you in terms of how that operation will take place until we have everybody secured again in their positions. All right. So thanks. And if there's nothing else, take care, guys. Can somebody move for the meeting to be adjourned? Sorry.
So move for the meeting to be adjourned.
All right. Seconded.
Seconded.
All right, good. What if the people wanted to leave long time? Seconded. Good. All right.